an awful run of results at Anfield, 7 without a win, 5 straight defeats for the first time in their history. Apart from the obvious, apart from key players to injuries, what else have they lost, Jamie?
Goals massively. I mean, they don't look like scoring. It's not just, you look at sort of the games where they haven't scored. You never feel like a goal's coming. Even with 20 minutes to go, you don't really feel like Liverpool are going to score a goal. And even late on, I didn't mention it in commentary, it almost felt like it needed to be a big Chelsea mistake to be a goal for Liverpool. And I mentioned the Leipzig game beforehand, and that I thought Chelsea would play like Leipzig and that they'd play their own game, and I was right. They pushed up high, they played from the back, and in some ways that's playing into Liverpool's hands, but they still couldn't exploit it. And in Leipzig they did. You had the space in behind them, and Salah and Mane got the goals. But again, that night they were from big mistakes from Leipzig. And at this moment, when you're watching Liverpool, you're not quite sure where the goals are going to come from, really. And that's I must say, I could not believe Salah came off. Liverpool were desperate for a goal. To take your top goal scorer off was a strange one. I wasn't quite sure.
What's your theory as to why that happened, Jamie? I think we checked it. It's the earliest that he's been brought off in a Premier League game since September 2017. You'll remember the 5-0 defeat against Manchester City. And that was only a tactical change at half-time. So what do you think Klopp's thinking might have been?
Klopp's never been shy in taking Mo Salah off the pitch, so it's not a case of like he's worried about taking his main player off, and he's taken him off in certain situations when Salah has been poor, and you think, okay, yeah, he's a big goal threat, but a lot of the time when he has been brought off in the past, Liverpool's attacking players may be breaking down with him, he's losing possession. And then you think, okay, I can understand that because they're not being able to get anything going. Now, he certainly wasn't at his best today, but it wasn't one of those games where I've seen Mo Salah have where he can lose possession, just didn't have much of the ball. And you've got to remember, Salah's not a great player with the ball as such. He's probably better off the ball, making runs and scoring goals. What Salah is for me is a great goal scorer. And that's what, obviously, Liverpool lacked. They needed the goal in that second half. I don't know if there was something about maybe, Sunday sharpness, or maybe the games that he's played or something. I don't know. It's difficult to ever really question Jurgen Klopp, but I did think it was a real strange one. I just think when you need a goal late on, you leave as many players on the pitch who can score you a goal, basically in simple terms. But yeah, he made that change. He was frustrated. It's not the first time he's done it. It won't be the last. And if Salah can maybe get the goal or something in terms of a victory at 3 points at the weekend, maybe Jurgen Klopp will be proven right. But at this moment, even with Salah on the pitch for whatever it was, just over an hour, Liverpool didn't look like scoring. And that, for me, is a bigger problem than what's going on at the back. Because the problems at the back, you've always got in the back of your mind, well, next season Van Dijk will be back. You think they'll buy a centre-back, Joe Gomez will be back. When you're actually looking at the attack or the front six, and this is why I've been critical of Liverpool, not so much this game, but games before, where you can't use defenders as an excuse because the teams they're playing against, they still have got enough to beat those teams. And the front six at this moment, it's not looking dangerous enough, and there's no one really out injured too much. I know you could say Henderson or Fabinho in midfield, but they're more defensive players, really. So that is a real worry for me going forward, where the goals are going to come from Liverpool, certainly next season. I think Jota will help that. He looks sharp when he come on. But they certainly need to do something, I wouldn't say drastic, but I think they need to do something big in the transfer market in terms of bringing someone in to score goals.
What's your theory on that, Jamie?
Well, yeah, I 100% get what Carragher said about bringing someone to get goals, but that wasn't a problem last year, was it? You brought in Jota. Normally, the way that it was, we spoke about Liverpool last year as almost clockwork. Where Firmino would come off that centre forward position, he'd go and press the midfield player, they'd win the back, you'd have your two forwards raiding into those areas and you get opportunities at goal. They would press the life out of teams. I see a Liverpool side right now, I said it just after the game, it looks like too many of them are feeling sorry for themselves. Ashley and I, we spoke about Trent, who last year best right back in the country. This year he's well off it. The levels, his energy, defensively, doesn't look the same player. Now, confidence is extremely low. Because we actually used to say about midfielders have got to chip in and get goals, and just to try and take the workload off the forwards. But that wasn't a problem. But right now, there's almost too many things to look at. If you throw into like one problem, we can solve it by doing this or doing that, maybe tweak the system. I think someone said last week, play 3 at the back. Nothing's really going to change. You've got a back 4 right now that's all over the place because they're changing 18, 19 times this year. They're having to force the issue all the time. They've almost got to somehow, some way, try and get in that top 4. find a way of battling through this really, really difficult time. If they can do that and then look forward to next year, because this is unprecedented. Yes, injuries. Yes, no crowd. Of course, it makes a difference. And Carragher and I have played in that normally talk about attacking the Kop end. Something will happen. The Kop will suck the ball into the net somehow. They haven't got that luxury. So all you can do is get your head down and work as hard as possible and make things happen. And by taking Salah off after 62 minutes, I think what he's done is said, I'm making a statement that you've all got to liven up, because it doesn't matter who you are, this isn't going to happen, and carry on.
Jamie, final thoughts on this? Can you see top four happening now?
No, I think it'll be difficult for Liverpool. I think Chelsea look really impressive. When you actually look at the squad of Chelsea, they changed the two wing-backs today. They brought on Reece James, who's part of the England squad, and Ben Chilwell, who just spent 50 million. And I think they have got a really top squad, Chelsea. Tammy Abraham can't get on the bench, so I think it'll be difficult to stop them. Whether Leicester come back to the pack, but you look at teams like West Ham and Everton, they're in much better form than Liverpool right now. I mean, Liverpool win the odd game now and again, and you think maybe they're back and you're expecting some sort of run, and it's just not quite happening. And I get what Jamie's saying there, but I don't think it's a lack of effort or they're not having a go. There's just something missing in terms of... I watched Gini Wijnaldum second half get done on a 1-2. They want to do things and they just can't quite get there, and I just don't know if it's the same players playing week in, week out, maybe on the back of 4 or 5 years of high intensity football, no crowd. Who knows what it is? We'll maybe only really get to the bottom of it more next season when we see the crowds back and maybe more of a normal season. But they just don't seem there in terms of energy and pace right at this moment. And Jamie's just mentioned about the pressing from Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp famously said, his pressing is better than any number 10. But when you watch Liverpool now, they almost feel like they need a number 10. They need that type of player because the pressing's not quite there, and teams are coming defending deep, and they just haven't really got anyone between the lines to play that pass. They had Philip Coutinho, obviously went, and they built in other areas, but that type of player, I'm not saying they should go and buy that, but without the actual pressing quality they've got now in terms of creating chances, they haven't really got anyone who can make that final pass.
No, I agree. It's such a... We've all done it, we've all played, and sometimes it boils down to just confidence. What we saw Mane do first half when he just completely miskicked the shot. Players are doing things that we don't normally associate with Liverpool. Last year, if we'd have said that they'd go through this period and have one shot on target after 80 minutes, not win at home for this long, they'd have gone mad. What are you talking about?
I am going mad.
But go unbeaten in 68 and then 5 straight home defeats. It's unheard of.